Good morning, everybody, or evening, or afternoon, or whatever it happens to be, wherever you are, whenever you are. I'm Vanessa. I am one of the co-founders of Menopause, and joining me today is Danielle Jacobs, our other co-founder. Morning, Danielle.
Good morning. After hearing Vanessa say that, all I wanted to say is good morning, good evening, and good night. I think it's from the Truman Show. It's like, good morning, good evening, and if I don't see you, good night, or something like that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
How are you today?
I'm good. So my morning was, spring is here. So normally we take our walks in the morning. So I told my husband, we have like a outdoor national park pretty close to us, and it gets water that flows down from the mountain certain times a year. Certain times of the year it's very dry. But I was thinking there might be a little water left. So anyways, I made him go over there for our walk, and it was beautiful. So for anyone that doesn't know, we're in Tucson, Arizona. And we don't have a lot of trees. We have what you call mesquite trees or Palo Verde trees. They're not your typical trees. But through this park, there's some like cottonwoods and stuff that have kind of been transplanted here that aren't native to the area. But there was also a lot of cactus, and the ocotillo cactus was blooming. They were so pretty. So anyways, got back from my walk, all relaxed. We're doing our morning meeting with the team. And Vanessa reminded me that we were doing coffee with Danny V. I totally spaced you guys, and I'm so sorry, but I'm here, I'm ready, and I did my quick put together. I have my workout clothes underneath.
You know what? You're here, and that's all that matters. So it's interesting you say, because that's the kind of thing that just automatically adds stress to your day, right? And this is still Stress Awareness Month. So I wanted to talk more about that because I think we've talked a little bit about some of the ways that we handle stress and how we mitigate its effects in our lives. But, but that's one of the things you just don't expect when you wake up in the morning is to, completely blank on something that you knew you needed to do. And then you have to run back and try to scramble to get it ready, right?
Yes. So, and for me, it's been, I have my Friday routine, and I get up and I shower and I get ready for you guys, and I love that routine. But for whatever reason, like I think it was being, I've talked about it a lot before that the outdoors is my big stress reliever. And so being out there this morning just like totally got me in like this Zen place, and I was calm and I was like ready for the day. And then I told Vanessa, I was looking at her on our team Zoom call, and I said, wow, she's really put together. And I forgot something really big to talk about that I had to do today. And she started talking, she goes, I think you forgot about coffee with Danny and me. I said, I was so relaxed. And I think that was part of it. And it wasn't that did it add stress? Maybe a little bit, but more of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just forgot about that. But it came from a good place. It came from a place of me actually just being relaxed. And this morning was good for my psyche. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear it because I have had some stress improvements as well.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
So you challenged me to start stretching and do some yoga. The last coffee with Danny and V. And I said I would. I said I would do it, and I did. So I had to be really gentle because my leg is still a little, tweaked from the heels. But I did some of the, the easy modification yoga that we have in our Menolife app over the last week. And I think I'm feeling better. So yesterday, 2 days ago, I had an interview I was supposed to do with a podcast host. I do a lot of podcasts for Menolabs, and I love doing them. But there's a lot of preparation that goes into it because there's always something new and different the host wants to talk about. So I want to make sure I'm prepared, and I want to make sure that I understand, the host's approach to the show and everything. So anyway, there's a lot of preparation that goes into these things. And so I was all prepared on Wednesday. And then the host was like, I am so sorry. This is not normal, but I really need to reschedule. And okay, no problem. You're right. I can absolutely do that. But we rescheduled for the very next day, and I had things already on my schedule that I just needed to move around and everything. And that's the kind of thing that would normally make me really stressed out because I'm a worrier, I'm a stressor, right, by default. That's what I do. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm gonna reshuffle around my schedule and everything. But I normally that would be the thing that just throws me. And this week, pretty relaxed about it. And I think it's a combination of things, and I think part of that is the yoga, because when I'm doing those poses, they are not complicated poses. I am going to admit I am not there yet. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to practice the mountain pose on our app, and I can get my leg to about mid calf. Really have to think about it, and I really have to breathe into it. And I can't think about anything else except getting that position correct, and standing in the position and letting my body feel that and stretch into it and everything. And I really think that it's just having some physiological improvement for me, and I really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep up. I'm going to keep it up and see how it goes.
You know what you did? You found your Zen. It's the same thing as meditating.
Well, okay, if you say so.
Where you were concentrating on that, and that's what's great about yoga. It's not sitting still meditating, but you're finding a Zen. You're clearing your head, you're focusing on something else that isn't necessarily stressful. It's good for your body has releases, your mind has releases. It's very slow paced, it's very calming. So that's what I say. I think you found your Zen.
Well, if you're talking about just living in the moment, absolutely. Because when I'm trying to get those yoga poses right, I can only live in the moment. My body requires that I don't do anything else.
Yeah, it's not one of those things you can like multitask doing.
And I gotta say, I appreciate that, because multitasking is, that's what we do all day, every day, or at least we try to. And yeah, it was good. And I lost another couple of pounds, like 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds this week.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's the yoga or if it's just that I, can get up and move around again after 4 or 5 days of doing nothing. But I feel energized and good. And that yoga, I'm sure, is what's doing it.
That's awesome. I gained weight over Easter.
Were you eating the rainbow, but only in like Easter eggs?
No. My rainbow went out the door. It included even like processed white breads in my diet. I know, it was really bad. So there are these little sandwiches that I make only at Easter time, because that's the only, like, the family loves these sandwiches. They're on those King's Hawaiian rolls. They're ham and Swiss cheese, and they have like butter melted on them. I don't know what they're called. And you sprinkle like poppy seeds on them, and they're so delicious. Anyways, but they're really bad for you. And I know I ate too many. So I know where I went wrong, and I'm back on track this week. I've been back on track this week, but I did gain over Easter, and I think that's one of those things that we talked about weight last time, and we get caught up on the whole weight and the scale, what the scale says. And I would say that a really good friend of mine says it very nicely, to give yourself grace. And that means to allow yourself, a holiday. We're going to want to, if you feel like you're starving yourself, or you feel like you're depriving yourself, more importantly, not starving, but depriving, and you never give in, to that one little treat. And I'm not saying every day, not saying every day. But it's okay to give yourself an opportunity to eat those things that you love. Or my thing is, I have a sweet tooth, but the thing that gets me through my sweet tooth is tea, interestingly enough, and dark chocolate. So I have found a very dark chocolate, which is the best kind of chocolate that you can do. I challenge you, Vanessa, to explore dark chocolate again.
Well, I would, except that I think I found the cure for my sweet tooth.
What?
And it's not chocolate.
Really?
Shockingly enough, yes.
Fruit.
So
Is
I've been eating, it's fruit. I've been eating blueberries, right? They're all over the grocery store right now because they're seasonally appropriate. And so I've been eating a lot of blueberries, and sometimes I put them in yogurt if I'm like craving a slightly different texture. I'll put them in Greek yogurt. But just, a handful of blueberries at night is really doing wonders for me.
Yes.
So, and you know what? I think it's because you challenged me to eat the rainbow. So I have been really trying, and I just love blueberries. I remember as a kid, we would go blueberry picking all the time. I'm originally from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there's blueberries everywhere. And we would go, pick blueberries, every day for the whole season. And I miss that.
They're very good for you, the antioxidants in them. And my husband tells me about those kind of stories. He was from Washington State, so they were kind of the same thing, going blueberry picking, strawberry picking, all of that. So fresh, I've done it one time. I've gone strawberry picking with the kids from like a fresh farm, but otherwise they've all been store bought from there. But so I don't have those fond memories, but they are so much better fresh, I must say. But that little sweet treat at night, if you grab those berries, it's so much better for you. Once in a while, what I will do, and I don't do my chocolate all the time, but that is my, like, if I have to have something sweet, I just have one little square and it does it for me. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll take that one little square with a handful of raspberries, and it's so good. That's one of my favorites.
I have never liked the combination of raspberries and chocolate because I think that it tastes like cough medicine. I don't know. But my husband says I don't have a sophisticated palate, and he's probably right.
For me, I just have to be careful. I cannot do anything cherry flavored. Anything cherry flavored to me is like, well, it's cough medicine.
Oh, you know what I really love? Cherry flavored lifesavers.
Oh.
Okay.
Buds are so different though. It's crazy.
It is. And it's funny because my husband and my daughter, they love wine, and they will sit there and they'll taste wine and they'll be like, oh yeah, it tastes tobacco-y and leathery, and I'm like, what? It tastes like fruit.
It's definitely, one of the things that I loved about challenging to eat the rainbow is your development of your taste palette. Because you really actually start tasting the foods. You really start focusing on those flavors and stuff like that. I recently saw a friend of mine say that she had given up meat for a period of time and just was going to do it for like a short period of time, and ended up really feeling good on it and was going to do it for a further extended period of time. But one of the things she noticed, and this is one of the things that my husband noticed when I finally got him to focus on eating fruits, vegetables, and eating the rainbow in this last year, and that was that the flavors that you honestly start learning to enjoy, or you start exploring, you really start expanding your palate. You start expanding how good, those different, I can honestly taste the difference between an orange carrot and a purple carrot.
Wow.
So the more you do it, the more you eat them raw. So if you're constantly dipping them in something, then you're probably only going to taste the dip forever. But the more you eat them just raw, without anything. One of the things that I ended up learning to truly love was raw broccoli. I absolutely love raw broccoli. No dip, no nothing, just raw broccoli. I had tomatoes for breakfast this morning.
Oh, that's an interesting breakfast food. I haven't had breakfast yet. Don't yell at me, please.
You still have time. We're still in the morning.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, we're still in the morning. I have to tell you about my coffee. All right, so
Okay.
That's probably one of my loves is coffee. Like I have given it up in the past. I know that I have probably some sort of caffeine addiction because I totally had headaches when I did give it up. But we have been trying different like coffees, and lately I've been really going for this cold brew coffee because my thing is getting rid of the sugar in the coffee because I have that sweet tooth, and I've really been able to successfully do that. I started with the thing that was my saving grace that got me through that transition point. I wasn't able to go cold turkey, and I've learned with myself that I can't do like the cold turkey thing. I have to find like an intermediary healthy version, and then I have to step myself off. So this liquid stevia and there's this English toffee flavor. It was delicious, and so that was my intermediary, and I've recently been able to completely give it up. And we have this new espresso machine. So I made my coffee for today, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have like the froth milk.
Like those got milk ads back in like the 90s or whatever.
I was like, I'm gonna have to be careful of that. But it is so delicious. I really like my new espresso machine. It's making my mornings wonderful.
There's no way I could give up coffee. I know I'm addicted. I didn't start drinking coffee until I was in my mid 30s. And, I used to not like the smell of even the bean in the supermarket aisle. But now, oh my gosh, I can't go a day without coffee. I literally will have like a hypertension headache and I think I'm dying. It feels like I'm dying. I know I'm addicted.
There's a lot of good health benefits out of coffee. The thing that makes coffee really bad for you is all of those sugary creamers that everyone likes to put in their coffee. So, of course, the best way health-wise to drink coffee is black. I can't do it. So I stick to just some organic half and half in it. But I'm there where I'm not putting sweeteners, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Well, no, that's a big deal. Congratulations, especially because of your sweet tooth. I think you're doing great.
Well, thank you. Thank you, V.
Oh, so it's not easy. It's not easy to make changes, right? It takes work and dedication, and you have to really make plans and stick to them. It's not easy. So good for you.
Thank you. And I would say here too is going back to stress month, making changes. I know that making changes is stressful, right? It causes disruption, like maybe you've identified you want to give up coffee and you're having headaches, or I know that I'm a stress eater also. I've been able to identify that with myself. So not only do I have a sweet tooth and I love baked goods, but I am a huge stress eater. So the combination is not great. It has really led to my weight problems over the years. But you know what I was able to do is finally identify it. And that was the first step. It really was the first step. For many years, I tried dieting, and I'd lose weight, but I never fully realized what my triggers were. And the self-identifying that I stress eat was such a big thing, such a big thing. Because I really get to that point when I'm stressed out that food is like an endorphin. And all those sweet things or things I felt that I deprived myself, those are going to be the things I go to first when I'm stressed out because they release those endorphins. They make you feel happy, but your body is not happy when you do it. So I would put on pounds. And I would get to the point too where I'd be so stressed out that it was just like, F it. I'm just going to eat. I don't care. And literally would get that mindset when I would get too stressed. And that, that was really bad for me. And so being able to identify though, that I stress eat, like actually identifying it, that was what I was doing. And that those were the things that I was reaching for, has really, really helped me because now when I get stressed out, I look for other things first. Like I might go meditate, take a walk. I might reach for something that I always keep raw almonds by my desk. And I'll 6 raw almonds. That's my little, if I'm hungry, if I'm stressed, I'll just, crunch on those. And being able to identify that has helped me so much, really has. So change is always hard, but try to see if you can figure out your triggers. Even with change, don't give up. If you have a bad day, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Move forward. Tomorrow is always a new day. The next hour, the next minute, you don't always have to wait I used to do that too. I used to be really bad at that. I would stress eat, I'd have a bad eating day, and I'd be like, oh, tomorrow. Well, that gave my mind the open opportunity to continue for the rest of the day eating really horribly. So I really had to change my mindset that it was no, the next thing I put in my mouth, food, drink, whatever it was, that's my moment to change. As soon as I identified that that's what I was doing, that's my moment. Not tomorrow, not next week. Oh, I'll start on Monday. A friend of mine and I used to have a joke that it was like Fresh Start Mondays. Well, every Monday was Fresh Start Monday, and guess what? We would mess up every week until it came to Fresh Start Monday.
And then you're really good on Monday, and by Wednesday you're like, oh no, next Monday. I think we've all been there.
Right? You have to think about it in the next moment. My next moment, as soon as you can self-identify with that, as soon as you can say, you know what, I'm really screwed up, or you know what, I gave myself a treat, but the next meal, your next snack, go for your healthy options, go for the things that you know are good for you. So
yeah, it's about progress, not perfection. A friend of mine said that to me, and boy, I play that in my head all the time. I must say that to myself, a dozen times a day. Progress, not perfection, because I'm a perfectionist by nature. And yeah, you have to remind yourself that things aren't perfect, and you're not perfect,
right? You do, and that's a good thing to kind of point out too, is the fact that you're a perfectionist by nature, because I'm the same way.
I know you are.
I would want things to be perfect. And when they weren't perfect, I had that same mindset of like, F it, like, and that wasn't the right mindset. It was, no, I need to make progress. It's not about being perfect by any means. It's about making progress. And so you always have to turn yourself around and say, okay, I didn't do great this morning. I know I didn't do great. Donuts got brought to the office, whatever it is that you just gave into, that's fine. Make progress. The next meal, eat the rainbow, focus on eating the rainbow.
Yeah. And you know what? Give yourself credit for making progress. And when I do that, well, I find when I go, okay, I made progress today. I made this good choice. I made this good choice. I walked in my backyard for X amount of time. I give myself credit for that. And that helps relieve your stress too,
Yeah.
because you're patting yourself on the back, not beating yourself up.
Yeah. And, I think that's hard for us women too, is that I know that a lot of women look for that affirmation or that confirmation from someone else. And sometimes we have to realize that it comes from ourselves. We have to accept ourselves before anyone else will accept us. And so I think what you said speaks volumes to that. You have to give yourself credit for the moves, the things that you're doing. Yeah, it feels good when someone else notices, but you really have to work on giving yourself credit. One of the things that really helped me was I used to journal in my beginning, different times through my life, if I was really, not focusing on the things that I was doing right, but I was focusing on all the things that were going wrong, was I would really start just making little notations. I'd have like I have a daily planner that I keep anyways for all of my appointments and just my to-do lists every day so I don't lose track. But I would start adding, what am I thankful for today? What did I do well today? Those kinds of things that I would just kind of make note of so that I could look back and reflect upon those and realize that I was doing a good job. I was really doing well. Things were not as bad as, it might felt, or, and focusing on those positive things, not always focusing on the negative things that are happening, because there's always negative things in life. I think that is life.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I think it's really great to get affirmation from outside sources, right? When my husband says, I like your hair today or whatever, little dopamine hit, feels good. But I think there's something, and I don't know exactly what it is, so I can't speak to it, but I feel like when I tell myself that I did a good job for something, there's something deeper neurologically that's going on. It just means more when I take a minute to acknowledge my success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell myself, hey, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Good for you, right? There's just something I think going on in your brain that's a little bit different that makes you a little more prepared to deal with stress, a little more prepared to be kind to yourself the next time, right? You just need to burn those pathways in your brain over and over again so that because if you're kind to yourself once and you make it a habit, it will become a habit, and you'll just feel better. You'll just feel better. And that's something I've learned in my 40s, to just give myself credit for things. I didn't do that in my 20s. I beat myself up a lot in my 20s and my 30s. And it feels really good to be at this stage of life and allow myself to be a little bit nicer to myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's all a mindset. It really is a mindset. And being able to do those things, it is a mindset. Whether it's giving yourself affirmation, whether it's eating healthy, that's a mindset. You have to be open. You have to open your mind a little bit, especially on eating the rainbow. I met so many people in my life that are just so closed-minded when it comes to food, and they're so set in their ways. One of the things I teach my kids is they're never allowed to say that they hate a food. Because if you say that you hate something, you usually carry that forward as a mindset in your life. And you will find that if you say, oh, I hate bananas, then guess what? Most likely in your 20s, you're going to remember that you said you hated bananas, and you're never going to open your mind to trying bananas again because it's a closed-minded mindset. And nope, I just hate bananas. And there's so many times, even through my own life, that I realized that our tastes evolve, things change, your mindset changes, you become more open to, new foods and trying new things, and you should, having an open mind, I think, opens you up for allowing yourself to love yourself also, being able to give yourself that affirmation without only needing it from others. And it's an open mindset. It's in both sides of the house, whether it's food and nutrition, or acceptance and valuing yourself, really.
Yeah. Oh, I love, you know what? I always just let Danielle talk because she always gets to something so meaningful and important. And you've done it again.
Here, I'll give my little confession that I've always looked up to like people like the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa, just in their giving nature, like their open mindset, I guess. I'm sure there's things about them that I don't know that maybe I wouldn't agree with or whatever, but they were very giving, they were very open, they were very honest. And I think that it's a good mindset to take forward in your life. It's the same thing. Be open, to yourself. Be giving to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Thank you very much.
You absolutely should take it as a compliment. And I think on that note, we will end it for today. Be kind to yourself. Be open to things. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.